Not everybody wants to make a huge, impressive Minecraft house. Some people just want a small, quick and easy first night house that they make do with for the rest of the time, and that's absolutely fine. And in this video, I'm going to show you the quickest and easiest ways to make some Minecraft houses. However, I'm not going to bore you by making a dirt house or just digging a hole in the side of a cliff. I've come up with some minimal effort Minecraft houses that can be done in minutes. So, let's get into it. So the first one that I want to show you is a dark oak forest house, and this is the giant mushroom that you can find. We're going to be doing this in survival, and all you need to do is knock out one part of the mushroom, add a floor, which you can get wood for in the surroundings, add a door, and that is literally it. It is one of the fastest houses you can make, and extend it by bone mealing a few red mushrooms either side of it, and then add another floor in, knock through one of the walls, and you've got yourself a very quick and easy house. It took only 2 to 3 minutes to make this entire house, and I barely had to do anything for it. The red mushroom was there, I had to get a bit of bone meal, all of that was in survival, very, very easy to do. Next up is one that you probably already know. It's, well, a tree house, but with any build that we're going to be doing in this, especially as we're doing it in survival, there will be a bit of tree cutting. So you need to just find a big tree, then you knock out some of the leaves in the top, kind of like the mushroom build, and then you've got a workable space, which you can then add chests and your crafting table and anything like that. It actually only took me about 1.5 minutes to make this from scratch, and all I started with was a stone axe to collect some logs. So if you want to make a quick house without making a dirt house, maybe this is the way to go, and there's always room to expand this one as well. The next house is probably the one that's going to take up the majority of this video because it involves transforming a desert temple. As you can see, most of the build is already done, with a little bit of lighting up, and of course we need to go down underneath and raid this thing. So you just dig down, make sure you don't blow it up. In fact, you can take all the free TNT and all of the free goodies, including the chests themselves. Don't forget to take those because that saves you a lot of wood as well. All of those things will help set you up for the rest of the build. Now you could just leave it like this if you wanted to, but I wanted to make this a bit more of a friendly space. So what I'm going to do is take out certain parts, especially down here in the middle, add all of the chests as my storage, and for the most part, this middle section is done. I can open up the area to some of the towers either side. Other than that, this space is done. However, if we go up and above where we've already sealed in the roof, and we take out the pyramid part of this, we can then make this a much more efficient space, and we can collect a lot of sandstone at the same time. So what I think you can do with a base like this is obviously connect it up with a staircase so that you've got a more workable build, but on the top layer, what you can do is create some actual farmland. Now, collecting the dirt will actually take you a little bit of time. This isn't a particularly fast house, but it is one of the most efficient ways to create a large house. All of the ones that I've shown you with the red cap and the tree house have been incredibly small, so small that there's barely room to move. This is a big house, and I don't think you could make anything quite as big as fast as this. So as you can see, I've just made a little area on the top. I've sealed off all the little entrances here with some sandstone walls to stop the mobs just walking in as they please. And that gives me a pretty safe space up here on the balcony. I found a little bit of grass, and using the bones from the chests from underneath all of the loot, I was able to get a fair amount of seeds. Then, quickly digging a mine underneath, I was able to get some cobblestone and some other various materials that are necessary. All of this seems like it would take a long time, but honestly it didn't, and I'll tell you how long this took at the end. But then I was able to make my stone hoe, start farming a little bit. I was able to plant a sapling so that I could get some trees and some logs, all of your various things. I even then took some time to decorate the front of this, seeing as I wanted to make this a bit better. All of that ended up with a farm, a tree farm, and a fully solid house. But you can take this one step further, of course, by making this into an actual mansion. All you would have to do is add a bit of a roof on the top, connect it all up, And this could end up being a really, really quick mansion. I mean, look at that. That doesn't look half bad, and I barely built any of it at all. Next up, we're going to go into one of the rarest biomes, the ice spike biome. And we're going to make a house in one of the large spikes. Now, we're going to have to collect a lot of things for this, and probably the most difficult thing to collect is some soul sand. You can do this without soul sand because I know that it is actually really unreasonable to ask someone to go into the nether at the start of the game. But these aren't necessarily starter houses, these are just the quickest houses that I know how to make. So you pop into the nether and hopefully, luckily, come across some soul sand, and you might as well pick up some magma blocks while you're there. You pop back into the overworld, and what we're going to do is work our way all the way to the top of this ice spike, and it's actually pretty difficult to know exactly when that is, so take an educated guess. So you will need to craft up a little bit of ladders here. As with most of these, you do need some resource collection. So once you've got your ladders, you then mine out the direct center and make your way to the top. And there's very little space to work with here, and you may end up breaking outside, and that's fine because you can just fill these in with some glass panes. Now, I actually took out most of the middle section because one of the rewards of the ice spike house is that you actually get a really good view of the areas around. Now, getting down is a little bit of an issue because once you're up, you really should have prepared, and that was my mistake. I forgot to do that. So what you can do is add just a little bit of water around the bottom, because what we're going to do is actually make a water bubble elevator upwards, which is why we collected the soul sand. So you need to then remove all of those ladders, which I guess you could use as fuel later, and then we add our little cushion here to fall in from the top. Very simple to do, just one bucket of water. Then you need to get some sea kelp, which is really easy to get as well. It might seem like this takes ages, just one pop into the sea, smash some, and you get them, like lots of them. So really easy to acquire. Once you got them, you make your way all the way to the top of that water pillar. You jump down into your now safe location, which you have prepared. I did take a little bit of a risk by just putting one block of water there. And then you add your soul sand, and bingo bango, you've got your bubble elevator in your new ice spike house. This is probably the longest house to make. You're probably better off just making a wooden hut. However, the reward for this one is that you've got a very, very unique tower house that is very enjoyable to look around in. The next house is the singular easiest house, and all you need is a sign. You just walk up to any villager house, you say, eviction notice, this house is now mine. That is literally it. You didn't have to build a house at all, you just nab one from one of the villagers. But I think it's really important that you actually add that sign there, just as a courtesy. So the last house that I want to show you is actually a ravine house. Now, the reason that this is very effective is because some ravines can be very big. Now, the ones that I've showed you so far, all of the other quick houses, have been relatively small. Think about the ice spike and the mushroom. They've got a 3x3 space. Well, the ravine changes that. This takes out a huge portion of building in general. And all you got to do is gather a lot of wood, make your way somewhat down the ravine, it's up to you how far, and then start bridging the gap between them with some oak planks or whatever wood that you happen to get, or any materials at all. These are not the prettiest houses, these are the quickest houses. It's very important to remember that. So once you've done the floor, you then do the ceiling. So what this does is removes about half of the building by not needing to put any walls in at all either side. You then seal off each end, and it cuts out a huge amount of resource gathering, and since this is underground, you don't actually have to dig anything. So you're just using a space that is already there, and then you're basically making a wood sandwich between them. It's actually a very clever design, although depending on how big the ravine is, you will need quite a lot of wood planks in order to do this. And then decorating it, you can actually take this pretty far. You can go and just add some logs as pillars to make it look a bit more supported. You could even craft up some stone stairs and slabs and then actually make this look like some sort of cave house if you wanted to. This took roughly about 10 minutes, and about 8 minutes of it was simply gathering enough logs to make this happen. So this is a particularly fast way to make a house. However, the limitations are that you can't go downwards. However, you can get some free light by adding some glass as a light roof in general. So remember, this is the quickest Minecraft houses I can think of, not the prettiest. And I was very lucky in this build because there was actually a cave that ran into the ravine, so I had a free entrance as well into the whole thing. And my goodness, does it look really terrible from the outside. But remember, these are just quick houses. If you want a good looking house, you might need to spend a little longer than 2 or 3 minutes on a house. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye!